Welcome back to Untested Builds, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Like and subscribe for a new video every week. Comment below to suggest your favorite fictional characters and join the Patreon to vote for the next League of Legends champion. We port to Galarian between Cho'Gath, the Terror of the Void, Set the Boss, or Jax, Grandmaster at Arms. There's a soft spot in my heart for ocean-going characters and aquatic campaigns in general, mostly because I like the inherent otherworldly mystery of the deep ocean, and also because I listen to the Leviathan album by Mastodon at least twice a week. So you can imagine my excitement when Fizz, the title Trickster, won the poll. But then I thought, wait a minute, isn't that just tiny Aquaman? If I just reskinned Arthur Curry into a goblin, would people even notice? But then I actually went back and rewatched my Aquaman video and remember that I spent like 14 levels just giving Aquaman water breathing and a swim speed. And then Paizo released the Azerketi ancestry as a web supplement like a month later and gave me the big sad. But now that there's actually support for aquatic based PCs, let's actually build one. For our goals for this build, we need to be amphibious. Fizz uses Yordle magic so he can hang out with Nami and them in the briny deep, but we can hold our own on land too. Second, we need to be slippery, weaving in and out of combat at will. They don't call us a trickster for nothing. And last, if we can't make a shark that attacks on land, then are we really calling ourselves Fizz? For stats, we're starting with 18 dexterity. Aquaman was strength based, but we're small and dodgy, so we're going to be dex based instead. Constitution, wisdom, and charisma all at 14. Our passive gives us survivability, and we love interacting with the natural world almost as much as we love a good bamboozle. 10 intelligence. Fizz isn't dumb by any means, but we've already got other crafting focused Yordles to build. And we're dumping strength. We don't need to pass swimming checks, we just have a swim speed. For our skills, we're going to be legendary in acrobatics, deception, nature, and survival. No surprises here, dodging is what Fizz is known for, and even the literal mermaids of Runeterra are impressed by our tales of adventure in the open oceans and along the coasts. We're also trained in athletics, stealth, and thievery. We're equal parts folklore and cryptid. I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least a few stealth checks involved somewhere. We made Teemo a goblin to represent his Yordle biology, but consistency is dumb, so we're going halfling to represent our small stature. We're an Undine for a 10-foot swim speed and the ability to breathe underwater right out of the gate. We'll take the Harbor Guard Moonlighter background for training in athletics and sailing lore, as well as a +1 circumstance bonus to deception, diplomacy, and intimidation checks against ship captains and freelance adventurers. We also get the quick jump feat for free, so we can perform a longer high jump in a single action without needing to stride beforehand. For our ancestry feat, Halfling Weapon Familiarity gives us access to a Halfling weapon of our choice. We're reflavoring the Filcher's Fork in our custom trident, partly because it's an awesome weapon and also because it's the only spear in the game with the finesse trait, which is important because we're locking in as a Swashbuckler, specifically a Gymnast, meaning we gain panache for a +5 foot status bonus to speed and a +1 circumstance bonus to tumble through actions, as well as grapple, shove, and trip checks whenever we successfully tumble through, grapple, disarm, or shove until we perform a finisher. Precise Strike gives us an extra 2 precision damage on our agile and finesse melee attacks while we have panache, and an additional 2d6 precision damage on finisher attacks. And lastly, Confident Finisher makes a melee strike that on a failure still deals half of our Precise Strike damage. We'll start the playful tricks right away with Dual Link Parry to spend an action to gain a +2 circumstance bonus to our AC until the start of our next turn, as long as we still have a free hand when that attack comes in. We'll pick up an Acrobat Dedication for Fizz's Nimble Fighter passive. Whenever we critically succeed on a tumble through, we don't treat our enemy space as difficult terrain. To help with that, we immediately become an expert in acrobatics and automatically raise our proficiency again at level 7 and 15. We'll pick up Natural Medicine for some sustain between fights. We can use our nature skill instead of medicine when performing a treat wounds, provided we're in a natural environment. There's grass on Summoner's Rift, that's good enough for me. Level 3 Swashbucklers gain Great Fortitude for expert fortitude saves, Vivacious Speed to increase the speed bonus we gain from panache by 5 feet, increasing as we level, and we gain half the speed bonus even when we don't have panache. Opportune Riposte lets us attempt a melee strike or a disarm attempt as a reaction whenever an enemy critically fails a strike against us to replicate the slam attack from Playful Trickster. We also get Stylish Tricks for extra skill feats at 3rd, 7th, and 15th level as long as they're either in acrobatics or athletics thanks to our Swashbuckler style. We may not use our athletics to swim, but that doesn't mean we aren't getting use out of the skill. Underwater Marauder prevents us from being flat-footed while in the water. For our general feat, Ancestral Paragon gives us an extra 1st level ancestry feat. Aquatic Eyes upgrades our dumb halfling eyes to low light vision. Most of our shenanigans take place at night, so let's work on not being completely useless without a torch. We're practically immortal thanks to our Yordle heritage, but we spent most of that time asleep, meaning we're still a bit out of touch. We'll replicate that with the Dubious Knowledge feat, so whenever we regular fail a recall knowledge check, we still gain a bit of accurate knowledge, but it also comes with some false information as well. For our class feat, Swaggering Initiative gives us a +2 circumstance bonus to our initiative, and we also interact to draw a weapon as a free action whenever we roll initiative. Level 5 Swashbucklers gain weapon expertise for expert proficiency in simple and martial weapons and unarmed strikes and the critical specialization effects of those weapons, meaning in addition to dealing a d6 of deadly damage, we'll also be inflicting the clumsy condition on the foe we crit with our Filcher's Fork, making our follow-up attacks even more likely to crit. For our Ancestry feat, we'll take another round of Aquatic Eyes for full dark vision for one less thing to worry about when plunging the ocean depths. We'll get even more evasive options with Dodge Away to gain a +1 circumstance bonus to our AC as a reaction to an incoming attack we're aware of, and if the attack misses, we can make a 5-foot step as part of the reaction for the other half of Playful Trickster. We dodge more than just mundane attacks. Recognize spell lets us attempt to identify an incoming spell we can see as a reaction, and if we critically succeed the check, we gain a +1 circumstance bonus to our saving throw or our AC against that spell. Level 7 Swashbucklers gain weapon specialization for an additional flat 2 damage on our expert weapon strikes, and evasion for master reflex saves and critical success results on regular successes. For our stylish trick, we're picking up Graceful Leaper from our acrobat dedication so we can use our acrobatics proficiency when performing long and high jumps instead of relying on our dumped strength mod. For our general feat, Feather Step lets us step in difficult terrain so we can make that 10-foot step with our Dodge Away regardless of our surroundings. We'll take the Kip Up feat so we can stand from prone as a free action without triggering reactions just in case someone actually manages to get the knock up on us. Bleeding Finisher is our WC Stone Triton. It's a finisher that, in addition to dealing our normal precise strike damage, also deals 3d6 of persistent bleeding damage. Level 9 Gymnast gains Swashbuckler expertise to increase our class DC to expert and exemplary finisher to gain a circumstance bonus to our damage rolls equal to twice our weapon damage dice on any grabbed, restrained, or prone creatures. I know we've kind of just been ignoring the whole combat maneuvers part of our subclass, but that'll change soon, I promise. For our Ancestry feat, Unhampered Passage lets us cast Freedom of Movement on ourselves as an innate primal spell once per day to ignore circumstance penalties to speed and automatically succeed on attempts to escape non-magical immobilizing effects and against magical immobilizing effects level 3 or lower. Cryptids don't get caught in nets. We'll pick up Tumbling Opportunist to attempt to trip a foe as a free action after we succeed on a tumble through and move through their space. But the important part is that we use our acrobatics proficiency instead of athletics, so now we can tumble through, trip, gain panache, and use Bleeding Finisher on our prone target and get the bonus damage from our exemplary finisher. And we still have a free action to throw up a dueling parry and never have to worry about that -1 to strength we're still carrying around. For our skill feat, Titan Wrestler lets us trip foes up to 2 sizes larger than us. We're small, and it would be kind of dumb if we couldn't trip someone just because they happen to be a large creature when running through legs is literally the thing halflings do. Level 11 Swashbucklers gain Vigilant Senses for Master Perception Proficiency and Continuous Flare, so we can gain our usual circumstance bonuses to panache even when outside of combat. There isn't really a good way to get actual damage reduction on this build, so for the other half of Nibble Dodge, we'll grab Toughness to increase our max HP by an amount equal to our level and reduce the DCs of our recovery checks to 9 plus our dying condition value. We'll pick up Quick Recognition to use our Recognize spell reaction as a free action whenever we attempt to identify a nature spell. Mobile Finisher is our Q Mobile Strike. We stride, then make a strike that counts as a finisher. We can also swim in place of striding if we catch someone out of position while roaming river. Level 13 Swashbucklers gain Light Armor expertise for Expert in Armor Defense and Expert Light Armor Proficiency. We're literally naked and we're going for that +6 dexterity, so Unarmored Defense is really the only option here. Weapon Mastery increases our proficiency in simple and martial weapons and unarmed strikes to master, and improved evasion for legendary reflex saves, regular fails on crit fails, and half damage on any effect from a reflex save. We'll get Fizz's ultimate Chum the Waters with the Summon Water Elemental Ancestry feat to cast Summon Elemental as a 5th level primal spell once per day, with the caveat that we can only summon elementals with the water trait. The most powerful thing we can summon is the Living Waterfall, but that's more of a Nami thing, but Brine Sharks are level 3 and literally have shark in the name, so go with one of those. There was a version of this build with a Beastmaster dedication for a shark animal companion, but that wouldn't really feel the same as Fizz since he kinda is known for dropping a shark on the dry land under an unsuspecting opponent. We'll take Reflexive Riposte to gain an additional reaction at the start of each of our turns that we can only use for an opportune riposte for maximum Playful Trickster. And we'll grab Wilderness Spotter to use our survival proficiency in place of perception for initiative and to trap find when we're in aquatic terrain. The usual caveat applies with these type of skills. You should probably retrain this to a different terrain type if you expect to be in a single type of terrain for an extended period, and your GM actually gives you a week of downtime to do that, of course. Level 15 Swashbucklers gain Keen Flare for critical successes on natural 19s you roll for strikes with weapons we have master proficiency with, and greater weapon specialization to double the flat damage we gain from weapon specialization, increasing the strikes we make with master proficiency to 6 additional damage. We'll get another stylish trick that we'll use for Quick Squeeze to squeeze into tight spaces we would normally need a check for at our full movement speed instead, which is a considerable amount between our Vivacious Speed and Fleet for an additional 5 feet of movement speed. We'll pick up Deadly Grace to squeeze even more damage out of our Filcher's Fork. Now whenever we critically hit, we'll deal twice the amount of deadly dice in addition to the normal crit effects. We'll take the Catfall feat so we never have to worry about fall damage. Normally falling in the water would only reduce our falling damage by a bit, but we live in and around the water. It would be insane if we took damage every time we took a long dive. Level 17 Swashbucklers gain Resolve for Master Will saves and critical success results on regular successes. For our Ancestry feat, Strong Swimmer increases our swim speed to match our land speed, meaning we got a strong 40-foot swim speed naturally and a blistering 65-foot swim speed with Panache, which means we just barely qualify for the US Olympic swim team. We'll take Train Animal so we can still have the chance to interact with some actual sharks in our adventures. We can spend downtime to teach an animal a basic action that we can later use with Command an Animal. For our class feat, Parry and Riposte lets us use our Opportune Riposte when a foe makes a regular fail on an attack against us, provided we're benefiting from our dueling parry and we've damaged the triggering enemy on our last turn. We can already perform up to 2 Opportune Ripostes in a turn, might as well make sure they can happen more often. Level 19 Swashbucklers gain Light Armor Mastery for Master Proficiency in Unarmored Defense and Light Armor, and Eternal Confidence to increase our Swashbuckler DC to Master and give our strikes from Opportune Riposte the failure effect from Confident Finisher, meaning if we miss, we can still deal half of our precise strike damage. For our general feat, the Ride skill lets us automatically succeed when we command an animal we're mounted to move. I think the need to make a nature check whenever you ride an animal that's already allowed us to mount it is dumb, and I want as few obstacles as possible on our journey to riding a Megalodon into combat. For our final skill feat, Nimble Crawl completely prevents us from being flat-footed due to being prone, and we can crawl at our full movement speed. Probably don't spend too much time down there though, we'll still take that -2 penalty to attack rolls. For our capstone, Panache Paragon permanently quickens us, granting us an extra action we can use each turn for a tumble through, trip, disarm, shove, or grapple, or any other acrobatics or athletics moves at the GM's discretion, meaning we can potentially pull off 2 finishers in a round and still have an action left to throw up dueling parry. But now that we're level 20, let's go over the pros and cons of this build. For starters, we've got big damage, a single bleeding finisher on a prone enemy dealing 44 plus 8 piercing damage plus 66 precision damage plus 66 persistent bleeding damage with an additional 2d6 deadly damage on a crit. Second, we're a pain to hit back with up to 47 AC and the threat of an Opportune Riposte. Enemies are gonna have to think twice before trying to engage us directly. And third, we're super hard to pin down with 60 feet of speed, 10 footsteps as a reaction, hip up, and freedom of movement in our back pocket. Nothing short of high level spells is going to slow us down. And that's only if they can get past our equally high saving throws. For cons, the strength flaw does impact our damage just a bit in the early levels, but as long as your team is helping with getting the enemy flat-footed, that backstabber trait on Filcher's Fork will cancel that out. And just like Fizz on the Rift, we're kinda squishy. Nah, just kidding. We've got over 300 HP and I ran out of room on the pros tab. But our con mod serves double duty. If you actually are playing in an aquatic campaign, you'll find that most water hazards, creatures, and spells force either a reflex save, which we're legendary in, or a fortitude save, which we have a plus 29 in. And pretty much anything that would need an athletic check can be swam through thanks to our swim speed. And just like that, I accidentally made the Yordle a better Aquaman than the actual Aquaman. Thanks for tuning in to another build. Subscribe to be notified whenever we post a new build. Join the Patreon so that you can vote in the next poll like these lovely people between Cho'Gath, Set, or Jax from League of Legends, and to download this character sheet and more. So until next time, take care, stay safe, and play more Pathfinder.